Welcome back to the channel, Bridging the Gap Student to Engineer, where STEM professionals provide advice to students. This video is about using something that you may have not thought about in your college search, and that's using LinkedIn to find schools. So we're going to go over to LinkedIn, look through some companies, show you the kind of data that's available. This is not really the type of video that you're just going to watch and get all the data. This video is going to show you how to do it. So let's get right into it. So the first thing I did is I went to LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, now's a good time to get one. As a college student, you really need to have a LinkedIn account. I will provide a link in the description for this video with some videos that talk to you about providing a LinkedIn account or making your own and the advantages of that as a college student. But just what I want to talk about today is using your LinkedIn account to help you find information that will help you choose a school. So today I'm going to do a hypothetical student who wants to live in California and be in the aerospace industry. So what I've done is I've thought, okay, so what companies are in aerospace? SpaceX. So in the LinkedIn search, I've typed SpaceX. It's given me the result of the company profile, and then it's listed some people. It's also listed some related organizations. So I'm going to start by clicking on SpaceX because that's where I want to get more information. And what I see is just this is basically the company's splash page. There's lots of information on here. You can search for things that the company's posted. You can search for jobs. You can search for a lot of things. But I'm going to come over here to the People tab. And what it's going to show me is that on LinkedIn, there are 12,631 members of LinkedIn associated with SpaceX as the company. Of those 12,000, 10,000 live in the United States. And then it breaks down by location. If you're familiar with LinkedIn, you know that your location is listed as part of your profile. And as you can see, some people have Los Angeles metropolitan area, some have Los Angeles, so it's not completely consistent. But if I am looking for this hypothetical student that wants to be in California, what I would want to do is click on California. So what I've done is I've said SpaceX employees living in California. Let's see what kind of people these are. So where they studied. So if I'm looking at wanting to work at SpaceX in the future and I want to live in California, I can see where they most commonly hire from. This is not directly out of school, so this is not direct relationships. This is just how it has ended up, where the SpaceX employees who live in California have gone to certain schools. So, it might be that MIT has a great reputation. They are highly ranked. But if I wanted to go work for SpaceX in California, I would probably be more likely to get there if I went to Cal State Long Beach. Those are two totally different schools, completely different experiences. But this is telling us pretty quickly that going to MIT and getting a job, getting a degree from MIT is not necessarily the best way to just be a shoe-in for SpaceX specifically. So what I see here is UCLA, USC, Berkeley, Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, Stanford, Georgia Tech. So these are all like very highly ranked schools, really good reputations for engineering. But most of those are also more local to California. So it may be that SpaceX doesn't go search far away, with the exception of Georgia Tech, to go get their grads. We also see Purdue, that's also highly ranked. They have a very good aeronautical program, but they're also, a little bit farther down on the list. I wouldn't start discounting the schools until maybe they've fallen off the list. But, you can see pretty quickly that SpaceX hires a lot of people from a variety of schools, mostly local to California. They're not necessarily looking to go get people from schools that are far away. So this happens a lot. one of the pieces of advice that I just generally give to kids is, if you're looking for a school, your best bet is to go to school where you want to live. And just SpaceX California is just an example of that, that almost all of these schools are in California. So if we just keep scrolling, what we'll see is various attributes of these California SpaceX employees. Most of them do engineering, some do operations, and then it kind of falls off from there, but there are some other things that people do. They are skilled in. So this is a little bit of a funny thing on LinkedIn with skilled in. Everybody's skilled in Microsoft Office and Excel. You kind of want to skip over those more common ones, but MATLAB and SolidWorks. So these are two very specific engineering supporting software systems that you may not be familiar with if you're in high school or just getting into college. But there are things that you might want to look into. And if you do have the opportunity to learn either of these and you're interested in working at SpaceX, then that might be something for you to consider and maybe get a little bit more into. You'll also see Python programming language is in here. So again, if you have the opportunity to learn that, that would be a good thing to do. And then what they studied. So this is the majors that they had at those schools that were a couple columns over. You'll notice that the vast majority are mechanical engineering, and then aerospace, aeronautical, and astronautical is next. It is very common, and it is a clear pathway for people who want to get into aerospace industry to major in aerospace. But you can see pretty quickly here that that's not necessarily the only way to get there. And in fact, at least specifically for SpaceX California employees, you've got almost 3 times as many of the employees majoring in mechanical as in aerospace. It's also, like double counted here and triple counted. So you may need to just go in and add things up and see if it does make sense. Okay. Also, another thing that I want to note with this is that you can go work for a lot of different kinds of companies with a specific major. So if engineering becomes too difficult, or you find yourself wanting to go find something else to do, or major in when you're in college, don't give up on that dream of working for a company like SpaceX. If you decide you no longer want to do engineering and maybe you want to change to physics, there are a number of physics majors that work at SpaceX in California. Mathematics, economics, there's a number of different majors that will get you where you want to go. So I'm going to just explore a little bit beyond SpaceX. So if I am interested in, say, NASA, which is in the same industry, absolutely, as SpaceX, and I want to live in California, let's see if that's an option. So when I look, NASA has 40,000 associated members. That is a lot of people. Where do they live? There's not very many in California, so I'm going to have to scroll way down here to get to California. So, if I have a dream of working for NASA, I may need to be flexible and be willing to live in a lot of different places where maybe they have more of their work. Okay, so again, we can look at the schools here for the California residents for NASA. Where did they go? Lots and lots of California schools, not necessarily people who went across the country. We do have MIT again and Purdue. Those are the only two that are not, well, Emory-Riddle is also not in California. But what you see is that they hire people who graduated locally to work locally. So just in contrast to that, let me just click on United States. So this is like everywhere that NASA works. It's a very different list. This is all over the place. Georgia Tech is here, but those Georgia Tech grads are not necessarily in California. They're in other locations. So Purdue features highly on here, and they were on the California list, but pretty much none of the rest of these were. So it is something to consider if you have specific goals. This can tell you a lot of things about who actually works at a company and where they are and how they got there. I navigated to the Northrop Grumman page, just like we looked at the SpaceX page, same topics right here. You'll also notice that affiliated pages are in other countries. So if you are interested in working international, you might also look at companies that have more of a global presence. These are listed separately. So you're not necessarily going to get that data here, but something to look through if you're interested. Okay, so Northrop Grumman, um, like SpaceX, they have a big presence in California. And so I'm just going to click on California to start with here rather than just LA. But again, you'll see a lot of California schools, a lot of California schools. We get to Emory-Riddle, will get you anywhere within the aerospace industry. But there's no other non-California schools on here. So it may seem like a great thing to go across the country and go to a place that's better, but if you have a very specific desire to go somewhere, as far as like long-term career aspirations, you either need to be flexible with your location, or you need to consider whether or not going to a school with maybe a lesser reputation in your mind it is actually a better way to get where you want to go. Okay, so let's click on Lockheed Martin. Again, do the people. If you go into California, while they do have 109,000 associated members, that is an insane number. California is kind of down on the list, but it's still nearly 10,000 people. So absolutely something that they have a lot of employees there. So again, California, Embry-Riddle, specifically for pretty much anywhere in aerospace, you can go there. University of Phoenix is interesting. This is mostly an online school that a lot of professionals use to get degrees while they're working. So there's a number of Lockheed Martin California employees who got a degree there. It may be that Lockheed Martin pays for degrees there. That may be why it's so high up, but it also may just mean that Lockheed Martin is not super concerned about where you got your degree. So let's look through here. Again, lots and lots of California schools. They even have a college on here that's not a university. Community College of the Air Force indicates that they have a lot of vets, which is great. A lot of defense and aerospace companies hire a lot of vets. So I hope this was helpful, that you are able to go out into LinkedIn, use it to find information about where companies are hiring from. A lot of what we saw was local schools, like we've talked about in other videos, but I will leave that to you to do your exploring. And if you have any questions, need more information or whatever, reach out and we will get back to you.